Okay. All right.
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a podcast designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Whatever kind of LeChump or track dog you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate. We even think you Drifto Hella Flush guys are all right, as long as you built it yourself and drive it hard. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, news and notes from the world of low buck racing, and if you can handle it, Chrissy will give you just the tip. I'll be your pit marshal. My name is Jeff. Everyone report to the paddock.
Welcome to Everyone Racers. Thank you for joining us yet again. I'm Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm Mental. Now, this week, we are going to skip What Are You Working On? Because we're all working on recovery from our various race weekends. But before we get into that, we've got some news and notes. Jeff, I saw you had something in the notes. What's this Ranger video?
Oh, well, there's two notes. I'm going to do the first one first, the other one first, because it has less to do with the races, so it'll slide in a little better. I don't know if you all saw that, but Paul Walker's daughter actually settled her lawsuit, wrongful death lawsuit, against Porsche yesterday. So the courts have decided that Porsche is not in the wrong, and now there has been some sort of cash payment.
Well, hang on. There's a difference between the courts deciding she's not wrong, or the Porsche is not wrong, and a settlement of cash payments.
That's what I'm saying.
That's where I'm going. Unless
this is my business, man. Come on.
Unless it's her paying Porsche for wasting time.
What I'm saying is the wrongful death criminal charges have already been dropped against Porsche. That happened about a year ago, and the lawsuit was still happening, and the lawsuit just got settled and went away.
Sure. So
settled. So they settled out of court.
They settled out of court, yes. Yeah.
They say, go away. It's not our fault that your idiot friend.
All right. I think we just lost Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your mic faded completely. Hey, we don't edit here. No. All right. Yeah, Chris, you got no sound coming in.
It's a better show anyway.
That's one of the benefits of having a second microphone in the room.
Paul Walker was pretty.
He was. He
what I had
was.
to say.
Absolutely. The Porsche was pretty, too.
That's true. And then until he crashed it, then it wasn't.
Well,
definitely both was pretty in both of their parts.
There you go. Paul Walker didn't crash it. His friend crashed it. You can't dog on Paul Walker. He knew better. He was a race car driver.
Yeah. There's a great article that Matt Farrer wrote about a year and a half ago, blaming the crash more on the tires, the tremendously aged out tires. Car was 9 years old with 4,000 miles. So, and it was sitting on its original tires. So,
that's yeah. And we've all bought old race cars old cars with tires on them. Yeah, and granted, we weren't doing 200 miles an hour, but yeah, that's I guess, didn't Betty hit the track with a set of old tires this weekend?
It did.
They put fresh ones on, I thought.
For
the race, yeah.
Not for warm-up.
Yeah, it's fine. The tires on my MG I bought in 1996, they're still there.
Well, again, and you're not doing 140 miles an hour.
And you're not driving it.
Park.
You don't drive it.
They've seen the sun for about 86 hours total since then. So
that's definitely a bonus.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what's your other bit of news there, Hefe?
So the other bit of news is coming out of the 24 Hours of Lemons race in New Hampshire Motorsports Park, where we participated. That is the three of us, not Mental. He went somewhere else.
Thanks, Mental.
Yeah, thanks, Mental.
Sorry.
We missed your hair, but not the rest of you. So there's a new truck amongst the truck racing. Our friends in the Ranger, they're the only people in Lemons that we know that are running a Ford Ranger, and they've had a tremendously terrible time with everything they've done. Built their cage wrong, got a lot of heat on the internet, showed up and passed. Won an award.
They were really good. They were good sports about it, though. They took all of the feedback and did everything that they needed to.
And their first set of race tires were General Grabbers, because nothing says racing like a General Grabber.
Is that what it's called?
Please tell me they were raised white letters. Were they raised white letters?
Yeah.
Big off-road chunky tires. So they ended up getting race
real
tires.
Racing with air
That's
quotes.
real racing, absolutely. So they ended up getting real race tires and actually doing pretty well this weekend until their brakes went out. They went straight at turn 3 up the hill at New Hampshire Motorsports Park, collected some friends of ours in a Miata, and went straight into the wall. And, they're all right. Everyone's all right. Our friend was also driving the Miata, so he's also fine. Trying to leave names out of it. But the one thing that the internet is basically blaming them for is showing up with street brake pads and how much the street brake pads probably caused the accident. And some argument back and forth that good street pads could work, could not work. Did they run out? Did they boil the brake lines? Nobody's sure.
What street? Did they get those lifetime pads that they sell at AutoZone?
That's the thing. What street pads? Like,
yeah,
the pads you buy for a Ford Ranger are not going to be good for anything, really. At least on like a heavy duty truck, like a half ton, you can get the 3/4 or 1 ton towing heavy duty pads, whatever it is, that are going to be okay. Or like a Crown Vic, you get the police ones that are not going to be tragic. Or you get the street pads, like the stock ones on my Mercedes. They're the performance package. I've used those on track to a great extent. They are the stock, quiet, nice brake pads. They're made by Paget. There's a big difference between that and Wagner quiet stops.
I'm sure they were Wagner quiet stops because it was actually their second set of the weekend as they went all the way to the backing plates halfway through Saturday.
Well, that's a good indicator.
Set. Yeah, that's a good indicator.
And also, you wonder if the caliper, the piston got jammed or something like that too, if it extended all the way, to metal on metal.
Well, this is where speed creep brings up other problems, because the first race they were going so slowly because they were on their general grabber ATs,
exactly,
and way up high and just basically doing a Citroen around the inside of the track. And then this time they showed up. Was
it that slow?
Oh yeah,
was it creeping slow? Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah. We were going so fast, I didn't remember.
Yeah,
no,
I meant we were going so. No, we were going so.
No. Oh no, we heard you, and it was awesome and cocky. We need you to be like that more often.
At Thompson, we went by everybody fast, but they were like the Citroen. And when you're going that slowly, you don't need a lot of the brakes. But New Hampshire, coming into 3, and actually into the bowl, you have to break down from a pretty decent, like top of 3rd, lower 4th gear speed into 3. You would break down to a top of 2nd gear speed.
Depends on how slow your car is to start with. We didn't have to brake that much.
Well, that's true.
We were in a dying Civic.
Yeah, but we've all taken it in the Civic. We've all taken it in the boat, and it took some effort, because you're trying to maintain as much momentum as possible. And yeah, it's a 9-degree turn.
It is probably the tightest turn that we've raced in Lemons. I'll be honest with you.
Well, the one with a good long straight leading up to it. Like Thompson has those real tight 180s, but they don't have as long a straight to it. You get to build up speed down the NASCAR straight, and then you come into the chute, and then you have to turn what essentially winds up being almost 180 degrees with uphill, and the surface is terrible too. So you really have to slow down.
Transition is awful, yeah. Well, it's like the NCM when we race down there. There's a whole lot of here's a really fast straightaway. Now you're going to go in the opposite direction.
Yeah. Well, they didn't even get to the opposite direction. They lost brakes at the beginning of the braking zone and pretty much bled no speed until the tires.
Yeah. Well, the Miata helped them bleed speed, basically.
That's true.
And they almost collected the back end of Bert, because Bert was going right through that corner. No. They came within a couple of feet.
Yeah.
God.
They totally
did. An icon. Bert is,
Bert is,
well, this is Bert's first race in a year, and they left it sitting for a year. They went to start it before the race. They're like, well, I guess we shook the battery up and turned the key. Fired right up.
They spent a lot of years sorting that thing. I remember when that thing was just god-awful. And then we were at CMP when they won, weren't we? Yeah, we were.
Yeah, we were.
Yeah. It was a little hurt this weekend. It seemed a little slow. I don't know if that was drivers or they were running out of something, but they didn't seem to be at their normal Bert speed.
Well, everything else has gotten a little faster, too.
That's true. Anyway, that's the news. There's big controversy, lots of discussion on the Facebooks about whether it's their fault or not.
Well, Jeff, that's one thing we've always done, and I think is a good idea for any team, is we go overboard on tires and brakes.
Yeah, absolutely. You skip on the speed additives, skip on all the engine stuff, absolutely, tires and brakes, and then spend the rest of your money on a good set of belts and a really good seat.
Mm-hmm. Ray Bessis ST43s.
The best
Yeah,
ever.
Which I actually told those Ranger guys about, and they promised to have on next time. So,
Well, they obviously don't want to do that again. So
And Porterfield will make them for you in any size. Like when I call them and order them for the calipers for an Oldsmobile Bravada, they say okay, no problem.
All right, nice. On that, we're talking about just Associated Racing stuff. So, shout out to Associated Team OK Speed out of Oklahoma. They had the infamous Tape R running at WRL at Hallett this weekend, and despite an engine fire, distributor issues, and running out of gas, they finished 5th on Saturday and 6th on Sunday.
out of what, 6?
Yeah.
No, out of a good 20 cars. The Tape R is very much like the Civic.
20, really?
I don't know. Yeah, but it's one of those. The car is very similar to. Here, we don't edit funny faces. The car is very similar to your Civic without the turbo. It's very tight. It's very well built. It's just built over on reliability. So it's a great car. And plus, there's a great bunch of dudes. I just want to give them a shout out. And we'll do another show about this. Chris, you'll talk about it. But the Grassroots Motorsports Challenge was this weekend. And really, I don't think any of us have been since we started wheel-to-wheel racing.
no, we
No.
haven't.
True. No.
2010.
Yeah, I've been 3 times. I went 02, 06, and 010 as part of various efforts, and twice with the same car. Once when it was mine, once when it was not. Anyway, it's a great topic for a different show. It is. It's a fun event. The people are fantastic, but it's a building event, not a racing event.
It's not a racing event.
You could be a lot more hungover at the challenge than
So
you can
much.
be at a Lemons race, especially if you're down
No.
there with Hong Nor.
At the challenge, you just need one person who's not hungover, and if you're going to be with Hong Nor, then most people are going to be hungover. That's
And you don't actually need to drive because you get somebody
That's
else
true.
to drive the autocross portion, correct?
Someone has to drive the drag.
Oh,
But you're
the
so much better off.
drag. You could do
You're so
that.
much better off putting Alan McCrispin in the car for the autocross.
And
'cause,
the drag, you can be asleep. You just have to go.
he's
For
gonna cut
most of the crap that we brought down there, yeah. But also, what was the other thing? Were you guys down there the year that 16V Corey was so hungover they actually made the manager break into his room because it was noon and he hadn't moved.
Yeah.
It was the year after his famous money shift.
Of course, Hong Nor had nothing to do with that.
Okay, so we weren't going to talk about the challenge.
So we're not going to talk
the
about the challenge
later.
Yeah.
Menza, you were going to give us the one factoid, right?
A stalwart down there, a pillar of that competition is a guy named Andy Nelson, who is just the nicest human being ever.
He lives
And
about an hour west of us.
Yeah, and he got involved in that whole challenge as a quarter-mile guy, and now he does land speed challenges. But he went down there with a genuine 2017 I think it's a 280Z, with a small block Chevy, and he ran 9.5 in the quarter mile. Jason Camisa of Motor Trend put it on his Instagram, and of course, all these people outside of the GRM community started up with there's no way he did it. He's a cheater, blah, 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 blah. And all 4 of us have met Andy, and we know absolutely for a fact he is not a cheater, and that car is genuinely $2017, if that much. And I am absolutely certain he just built the crap out of it by hand, and he knew exactly when to run to get that 9.5.
First off, he's magic.
He is.
Secondly, he will tell you the stories about, I go to a swap meet and I bought 3 cams for $10 and then I put the biggest one in. And yeah, that's what he does.
And it's also not the first time he's been in the 9s on those motors.
Yes, he goes small block Chevys. He's probably one of the top small block Chevy guys in the country, if we're just blunt.
And one of his biggest secrets is he builds these ridiculous 180-degree headers all by hand using scrap tubing, and they are works of art. And the car going down the street sounds like a Ferrari. It's
so sexy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he was in the 9.8s. I mean, 3-4 years ago.
I didn't think he'd ever cracked 10. He'd ever cracked out of the 10s. But
no, they were definitely 9 seconds.
Hey, whatever. All of it is ludicrous speed. Like they've done the plaid.
It is. Yeah. Well, and Jason Camisa put up there, he says, for $2017, Andy Nelson did what a Bugatti Veyron cannot do. Yeah, and then it shows the launch. So, yeah.
And he's been embarrassing guys in the Maxton Mile for a bunch of years now.
Yes.
But anyway, we can talk about this at a later time.
Again,
we have our own racing to talk about. Let's get to that. Mental, since you were at the Sucky race this weekend.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't really mean that. We're just bitter. Go ahead, Metal. Tell us what you were doing this weekend.
All right. Well, so I was with the Road and Track and Friends racing team, rtfracing.com, at the AER Mid-Ohio race, and it was fantastic. We were in Charlie Barreau's Miata, and what was nice is the Motorsports and Action team out of Canada came down, and these guys are IMSA racers with their Jesse Lazier is their pro driver, and this guy is unhumanly talented. We'll talk more about that in a second. And Carl Jimenez and Eric Harub came down there, and those guys are just Eric drove the car. Carl was just down there. He's a team principal, and they were just down there to have fun, and fun they had. Eric and the team technician who also runs Jack's car, a guy named John Chevelle, or we just call him Chevelle, John Chevelle, local to Ohio, and he does race car prep. He was there. So Eric and John on Sunday, when we were running out of brakes, did a full brake pad swap in 3 minutes and 48 seconds.
No way.
That is from car stopping up on Jack's, to ready to go. 3 minutes.
Front and rear, or just the front?
Just the fronts. So we were all like, okay, we got 15 minutes. We did the math on it. We could take 15 minutes and we'll still not, pull ourselves out of the second place run and all of a sudden everybody was like, wait, the car's back on track. We weren't even ready to fuel it. Charlie had to come sprinting to the pit, go, get ready to fuel. Because we were expecting we had 5 more minutes. That was awesome. So
here's a question though. How did you guys get on track on Sunday with brake pads that weren't ready to go for the whole day?
So it's a learning point, and that's an excellent learning point. So on Saturday night, as we did a check, we had 65% pads, and we have never used that much. So we had 65% pads. We went out there. It was hotter. We were faster, and we immediately noticed that the brake pedal was going down, and so we made the decision to change them. So it got down to about a millimeter, but we never did any real damage to the car. But and so now, in the standard operating procedure for Maryland is brake pads get changed, period.
Wow. Or just pick a different compound that lasts a few days.
Yeah. Really.
The Civic, even with the SC40, even with the turbo, when we're the fastest car in the field, we're still we'll probably get 3 races out of a set of pads. No problem.
Well,
especially Miata should have enough pad versus weight. Yeah.
But there are 2 very long straights at Mid-Ohio where you're well into the 120s, and then they end with very sharp corners. Then a couple of more of just some rather like New Hampshire. And
I think a compound change is a better idea than new pads every day. It's probably going to be more economical in the long run too.
What were you using? Do you know?
I don't. I should. That's another thing about when I run with
Wagner quiet stuff.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Well played.
Of the flat special. I mean, I would like to think. It sounds like you're way legit.
They have a lifetime warranty, so they brought them back.
There's no pad left on here. You can't have it.
We need another set. Didn't you just get these this morning? Shut up. Give me brakes. Your cost to be laps. Now, the Boost Brothers do the prep work on that one, so I am certain it is a high-end racing pad. But, a compound change is worth looking into. I didn't really even think about it at the time.
I mean, there's lots of very good quality high-end compound racing brake pads, but you just got to get the right one for your car and your use, and so be it.
Yes, you're right, and that's So it went into the notes, and that's something to kick around the team. What was great is I got down there, and the car started to running up there. Yeah, the car started running a little hot. And when I got into it, they told me to keep an eye on the temperature. I got 1/8 of a lap, and it splat water all over the windshield. And I looked down, and it jumped up to 217. So I shut it down, and I limp it around back into the pits. The radiator cap popped off. And at the time, we were running a strong third, and then we rolled back into, out there after losing a couple laps. And, Jeff, you've had some experience with this.
Yeah, well, I just want to say, what was that temperature again?
217.
That is the second lowest temperature you're about to hear. Keep going.
So
Thanks,
we lost some laps on Saturday to that one, and then just fought our way back up, but it changed our strategy. So I came in at the end of my stint, and I'm undoing my belts because the guy's going in after me is a little bit bigger than I am. And as I pull up in the pits and start to get out of the car, everybody's screaming, "Stay in the car, stay in the car." I forgot to mention my radio wasn't working at the time. And basically, it changed the strategy, so I ended up doing a double shift and went back out there again and got us a good solid. I think I put us into fourth, and then we dropped down a little way. And then Sam Smith got in the car. Right up until Sam Smith turned his second lap, I had the fastest time of the weekend. And then Jesse Lazier got in the car and put us in a good, solid third place. Sunday, we show up. There was a little bit of controversy, but I'm not going to relive that here because it's boring. Sunday, we show up. We come out of the gate, and they had moved a BMW M3 into GP2. And it was fast. It was well-driven, and we just realized we were not catching these guys. So we focused on maintaining a good, solid second place. Brake pads start going down. We have to talk through the strategy, pull the car in, put a fresh set of brakes on there, and then we sent Jesse Lazier out. And we'd had Jesse holding back a little bit to keep from overusing the car Saturday. Sunday, we're like, hey, go for it, because we're not catching first place. And once we did the mathematical impossibility of us losing second, which guaranteed us first for the weekend, he went after it, and it was humbling. Chrissy?
Oh, I was just wondering how many cars total. Is it how long is the field, how long is the track, and how big was the field?
We're running the full configuration, and I should know this, but I
was just wondering. So in general, I'm not familiar with Mid-Ohio, so I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, and I love that track, especially in the fall. It's kind of corny, but it's very much like New Hampshire. I was having a
conversation with a few people from that area this weekend. We were talking about our favorite tracks, and someone whose opinion I respect, who lives nearby there, was saying that they used to love Mid-Ohio, but ever since they put the extra walls on it and narrowed it by 2 feet or 4 feet, whatever it was, that they find it to be a much less fun track to be.
Huh. I've not. I only know it since 2015, so I really enjoy it. It is a 2.4 mile track. So
how many cars?
I think there's probably about 80 that started. Not
80?
All of them.
Okay. I mean,
wow. That's got to be a record for AER. I've never seen them put more than 50 on a track.
Because
it's probably closer to 50 then.
AER goes from 20 to 50, so I just figured that depends on. I'm just wondering how many people, because they have 5 different classes, so there's a lot less people for you to go against, in theory.
And GP2 is actually highly contested with a lot of Miatas, and then, like I said, that really well-driven E36 M3. But I tell you all of that to tell you this, and this goes back to a conversation we had off mic, even before we started doing the podcast, is it has been since 2016 since I finished a race. Not podiumed, just finished a race. And it was really, really getting depressing. You put all this blood and sweat and heartache into this thing, and it's not that I don't mind winning. And you guys even talked about it at Kentucky. You said, I didn't know what to do when the guy who's always having fun wasn't having fun when the BMW broke. And so
this was an understatement. We won't relive that experience because that was in itself depressing.
Let's go to the happy part. Curse is broken.
Yeah, there you go.
Curse is broken. And overall, it was a great weekend. If you guys aren't following Motorsports in Action, Jesse Lazier or Carl Jimenez on Instagram, you should. They are incredible people. Jesse Lazier is this stunningly talented 22-year-old IMSA driver, and it's one of those things where you meet somebody that has that kind of talent and then they turn out to be a jerk and you're like, well, they don't deserve it. He deserves every bit of talent and success he has. He is simply the nicest human being, just an amazing guy, and he's willing to teach you anything and show you anything, and he even tries really, really hard. And Chrissy, you've had some experience with that.
No, I was actually just going to ask you, are they as legit as you make them sound? So was your paddock really like a crazy setup paddock?
No. It was the three of them that showed up in a rental car wearing these cool McLaren jackets. No. The paddock was all still RTF, which is not even as nice as Three Pedal Mafia does things. They do provide lunch for everyone. Charlie always pulls out her wallet, hands somebody a wad of cash, and sends them over to the concession stand. Oh. She takes care of everybody, and she did the same thing on Sunday, but she sent somebody in a car to go bring us all Mexican food, which is delightful and wonderful, but Charlie doesn't cook, and she certainly doesn't have the trackside skill of the Three Pedal Mafia.
You just made them sound like everybody is like the best driver and they have all this experience. So I was picturing some kind of glorified, amazing paddock setup that you just waltz up and everybody hands you champagne.
What? Doesn't the stacker trailer show up and the awning shows out the side? And
there are 3 teams that show up with that. One of them is the IMSA Caymans of the Saline hot dog team. The Nana makers bring both of those cars, and they do. They show up with a double stack trailer, the 2-story pit box that they all climb up on top of, and it's got the rainproof cover, and they're getting their real-time data and all of that stuff. Yeah, so
I have a hard time hating those guys because they seem like they were good old grassroots kind of people for a long time, and it all worked for them. So good for them.
Oh no, I don't hate them at all. They sell seats in the Cayman, and they're like, oh, I pay $1,800 and I get to do testing at a track that I race at later. I just have to do it on street tires. Okay, and knowing that they're the fastest guys in the field, they give everyone a nice wide margin. A couple times I'd be in a corner, and one of them would be trapped behind me, and they got it. They just held back about a half a car length until I straightened out, and usually they even give you a second to give them a point and wave at you as you went by. So yeah, no, there's no hatred, but yeah, that's the level of that they bring. They take over a chunk of the paddock.
Cool. We've been there from the very beginning, so we know about AER.
Yeah. Good gig if you can get it for the Salins guys. That's for sure.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Exactly. So sorry, I've monopolized the whole conversation. My understanding is your weekend you had good things and bad things, actually, Chrissy.
So do you want to go? So I'll start with just overall winners and winners and losers, how things went, and then everybody can kind of touch on how our race went. I showed up late, so I don't have a whole lot of as much insight as everybody else does. So this race, we were up at New Hampshire Motorsport Speedway. Lemons, I'm not sure how many. I think there's about 110 cars, I'm going to say. I think that's about how many there were. So not surprisingly, ran a clean race, 6:08 straight out of Suncook. They won at Thompson as well, so they
by one lap.
Oh, right. But
this time by many fewer.
Right.
So it's the same BMW?
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
hey, this time they stuck some mellow yellow graphics on the side.
This is my section, right? So, right, I was going to say that they showed up with a little bit better. Before they were literally black with white letters that said 608 numbers, and that's it. They had some a little bit more paint going with it. The Massholes came in second. And so
well driven.
They always are. They have
that car is a piece of shit Escort ZX2, and they drive the wheels off that thing.
And they're the nicest people ever.
They're still in the ZX2.
Oh yeah, and I think they painted it. It used to just be silver, and now it's orange and black stripes. But they're the nicest people ever, and they run a good race as well. So
they bring a lot of booze too, don't they?
We never pit next to them.
They're not any kind of a force in the paddock, and they're super clean on track. And I don't know how the hell they get that damn Escort so fast, but good for them. I like them because they're clean on track and nice people.
I think it's mostly Mazda underneath it.
Or I think it's a Z-Tech under the hood, actually, which is not Mazda. It might still be a BG chassis-ish, but it's a Z-Tech.
So, Sorry for Party came in third, which is nice to see. I think they
finished.
They did, and they ran a pretty clean race. They had some issues on Friday, though. I believe they crankshaft broke in half, I think.
That is
on
correct.
Friday.
See, there you go. That's a sorry for Party problem. Our engine snapped in two.
But they were ready to race on Saturday, so
in testing.
In testing.
So did they rebuild it naked again, naked and drunk, like they always do?
Usually.
Only half of each.
There you go. And so we'll hear more about it, but the Cressida came in 8th overall, which is awesome.
Yes.
And Chris helped with that one. So fake news won. The Integra GSR came in first in B. That was a car that we have raced against a bunch of times. Go ahead, Jeff.
I just want to mention that Fake News has changed their theme a lot. These are really heavy themers. We really like these guys and girls, the mixed gender team there. They have a good time. They don't party with us, but they do party. We just usually aren't near them.
They have gotten very aggressive on track, like taking a lot of low percentage moves, the kind of stuff that like Keystone Cops used to do, of just pushing their way through the field unnecessarily. So I'd like to see them back a little bit off on that, but I do appreciate the good quality of their themes. But you can see is how banged up their car has gotten in 3 years. You can see why they're so aggressive.
So Keystone Cops have gotten clean. Those guys have just.
Oh, and they race with you. Well, they race with you now.
Well, they only have 40 cars on track with them now. So
once they cleaned up, they got faster.
So Fake News, super quick story about them. So they came up with, and I think they were going through tech, and they came up with a idea to make a Lemons IQ test. And so they came up with this test that they wrote out in freehand in a pen and paper, which is random and weird. But they made a question.
It's so awesome.
They made a question on them, so I was reading it on Facebook, and Rich, who is the
judge,
he was judging this weekend. He posted it to his Facebook, so I saw it on Facebook, and it said, the question number 2 was, how many black flags can you get and still win the race? Answer A, 69. Answer B, 3. Answer C, as many as you think you can. And D, as many as you want, as long as you're a 3-pedal mafia. And so I was reading this, and I just happened to be, I was just reading a paper on Facebook, and I did not realize that it was me. And I said, wait, that's us. So I walk over to Rich, and I say, what about this Lemons IQ? And he's got all defensive. He was like, look, I'll tell you who made it. I'll tell you, and you can go talk to them. And I was like, no, I think it's hilarious that somebody has put us in their. I'm honored that somebody put us in their Lemons IQ bride.
I had this image of Chrissy just coming in there like a roided up Rick and Summer when they, on the cartoon where she's like flipping tables. Who the hell put my name on this question here?
I approached them.
I'll tell you. I'm so sorry. I'll tell you. Please don't hurt me.
I approached them with a smile, and I thought it was great. I just wanted to tell them. I thought it was funny. That's all. So they're good humored people as well, which is nice.
Yeah,
I would like to think that's because of the quality of our cars and themes and racing, not because we get a lot of flags. Because we
really don't
any flags.
Because I haven't driven with you in a year. You guys haven't had a flag in a while.
That's true.
I think we only got one. Except I'm wondering if it's because of the bribe bags. So we try to make it so that we don't get black flags, or if we do get black flags, that they're supposed to forget us.
I attribute
don't give away our secret. Don't give away our secret.
To the Chindick. The Chindick is what I attribute it to, because anytime anyone on our team gets a black flag, they have to wear the accommodator. You can search that in Google Images and make sure your children are not around. It's a nice little Chindick you put on your face, and it's fun. So that makes sure our things don't go well.
Okay, so
I'm so troubled that you held that up while he was talking about.
No, I'm concerned about this. Okay, nope, I'm concerned about it because anyway. So park bench, one class C, whatever. They got put in C because there's nobody in C, so they went back to C. So we're just going to skip over it. The IOE went to a Mercedes 300E, bone stock auto, all season tires. It was obviously new drivers. It was going so slow and in everybody's way. But everybody was really annoyed that they won IOE because it was really not legit. So Chris said actually he thought the Ombre could win IOE if it came and did well. So that's what Chris said.
It could be. I honestly think that the IOE, and I don't know how many laps everything did, so I don't want to go too far, but there was a fantastic 65 Mustang with a Honda V6 mounted in the back and the fuel cell where the firewall was, and it ran all weekend long.
Was it white with blue and a couple blue and green stripes?
It was red, green, and white Castrol theme kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
That
only
was-
60.
That
65 Mustang.
That sounds hella sweet.
It must not have done it well enough.
It didn't do very well at all because they were going very slowly when they were running. They were running-ish all weekend. I wouldn't call them really running. But yeah, this is kind of a soft IOE. No one was really satisfied with that. It's not like when they chant boat, boat, boat.
Oh,
boat.
Yeah.
so great.
Honestly, the field was a little screwy because, and I was going to talk about this in my section, but plenty of cars that shouldn't have been C ended up in C, and plenty of cars that should have been in B, that should have been in A, ended up in B.
It's because there were no real C cars except Grover and
exactly,
and the Opel, the Buick Opel.
And Grover's won C and IOE how many times?
Once.
Yeah.
Well,
Hasn't won C yet, I don't think. Has
No,
it?
once C at Thompson.
Oh, C, okay.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying this because there's any issue. Like, I'm not like whining, oh, we were running an A car and there were B people, there were A cars in B class. We were one of the recipients of a total misclassing. And I'm not going to get too deep into it because I've been threatened by the people I drive with to stop talking about the car. But I'll just say, the car I was driving got B0.
Yes, I talked to Darren about that, and it was just one of those things where the car you guys were in was so similarly configured to the car that they used to be in. They just kind of said, it's the same thing. You know we're going to do terrible. Just leave us in be.
Except here's the thing. When the car runs the third fastest lap of the race, Steve McDaniels, when he was hanging out with us, goes, yeah, well, they're all nice guys and all. They give us stuff and help us out and stuff. But, man, if that thing had won, shit, I'd be in trouble.
Oh, so they noticed. I was hoping they didn't notice.
Steve McDaniel can play that dumb old country boy all he wants, but there is not much that gets past him. And if it does, it only happens one time. That is a smart dude.
So, Jeff, why don't you tell us about the car?
Sure. This has nothing to do with the car that accidentally got in B, but I want to tell you that the other car that I was running this weekend, as Mental has called her Black Betty, she's been around the AER world for a little while. I don't know what else she's done, but she's now ours, and we've redubbed her the RX 3.8.
NASA Time Attack. It was built as a Time Attack and then a sprint car. So it still holds records at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, we definitely had some things to do to it. It definitely wasn't perfectly set up. We had a lot of setup issues. Yeah. Yeah, they did install a power steering unit out of a GM, had some sort of reducer thingy that got it down to the Japanese pressures that were required for the RX-7, and it ran really, really well. It had one error in it. They blew a part of the power steering lines, and that cost them about 45 minutes, but they ended up running 18th overall. There's still definitely some suspension work to be done in it. We wiped clean the front passenger tire in like one day.
Well, Jeff, we did a lot of suspension work on that car on testing day, because it started off with Greg going out and saying, man, this thing's pretty loose. I said, I'll take it out, Greg, and see what you do. I looped it twice in 10 laps.
We lost you again, Chris.
Oh, hold on.
Oh, again.
Come back.
But that's all right. Not only did Chris...
I actually do want to hear... No, I want to hear the story of Chris, because this is the thing. Chris doesn't loop cars. Chris doesn't get black flags.
Don't combine.
I haven't ever spun a car in Lemons ever, and I spun it around twice. That's not spin it once and go out and spin it again. I spun it 720 degrees.
I think it was 2.5 times.
Hey,
2.5 times.
So the entirety of Three Pedal Mafia that is 720 to car now consists of me and you.
That's right. But I did mine during practice, not even during the race.
That's better, though, isn't it, really?
The race had only been going for 20 seconds when I did it. So
I get in on a Friday morning. I'm like warming up. Okay, I come down the hill out of the bolt, where you cross the track and you go into the last chicane before the straight. And the car just starts coming around, and it's completely unexpected. And it gets about a quarter of the way around before I realize what's going on, as I'm saying, WTF, and I, whatever. It comes around, I go in the grass, I look, and I go out, and I pull it back in, and it's okay. That was terrible. So I go out for 10 more laps. I'm getting the hang of it a bit.
Oh, sorry. Hold on.
Anyway, I'm coming up the hill. And it comes right around, right as I hit the uphill. It goes right around, right there. I've never seen a car spin there ever in my whole life. I didn't know how he did that. And as it started coming, I was like, all right, fine. I got this. More gas, all the steering. Let's go. Come on. Yep, kept going. We changed spring rates. They didn't. I think Darren is the only one that spun it after that.
Well, and the thing about it is if you guys got an up close look at that car, that engine is completely behind those front shock mounts. That is a true mid-engine car.
It is.
Yeah, and obsessively compulsively built. I love the guy that built it.
To me, there's two things that still need to go on. It still needs a proper suspension tuning. There's probably some toe issues.
An endurance
suspension tune. It probably needs softer springs.
It needs more than half an inch of droop travel in the rear suspension, which is all it has now. And it also needs some gauges.
It doesn't have any gauges.
It absolutely needs some gauges. It has one of them, a little tiny. Who the hell made that thing, Chris? Any idea?
The scan gauge.
Scan gauge thing that's like 1 inch by 3 inches with like a
Mom's Ford Escape to figure out what the OBD2 codes are. So
exactly. It's like a gray on gray, non-lit digital LCD thing.
How many things does it gauging? Just one?
No, like
just
4 or 5.
Oh.
things, but it's so far behind. Like you can be at 5,000 RPM and you're accelerating, and it'll say 4,200.
Oh,
You have no
good.
clue. And the RX-7 tack is hooked up, but it's just as far off the other way. So, like, if you want to just figure the averages in your head while you're accelerating,
So
that's about right.
This is exactly why when Omar used to drive, they said, "How are the gauges?" He said, "Fine." It's because you can't actually read what's actually going on.
TR,
Probably.
you could. But
On
now,
the TR, I've been on airplanes that gave me less information than the TR was. And basically, there was the one gauge. It was like the rust gauge, and it was always like at 70%. And if it got into the red, that meant the car was splitting in two again.
the RX definitely needs a reasonably sized tack with a light. That would be really nice.
That would be excellent. That would be
Nope,
excellent.
and I think Bruce
forgot
is saying.
about that. Yeah, because again, it was built as a sprint car.
Bruce is saying he kept going up higher and higher on the rev range just to see if he could get a rev limiter or a valve float or anything. He's like, I got as high as I dared, and I never heard a thing.
Oh, my goodness.
No, that engine has been gone through. There is no rev limiter on that engine, and you're not going to get valve.
Oh, actually, there
until
is a rev
until
limiter.
it sets the valves free.
There is a rev limiter. We actually were texting with the builder, and he did tell us there was a rev limiter, and I can confirm because I found it once. I also can confirm that we watched the videos, and myself, I pretty much leave it at 4th gear the entire track and have no trouble. And Greg Smith never goes into 4th gear. He was running the whole track pretty much in 3rd.
Wow, I was going into 5th on the straight on that thing.
I know.
See, now, did you see time start to warp like the Millennium Falcon going into warp speed in 5th gear in that car?
No.
Kind of like the Honda.
Yeah, it was kind of
Okay.
I
I
remember the Honda. We might want to start talking about the Honda.
Okay, we'll get. I remember getting that car into 5th on the back straightaway at Mid Ohio, and at a speed where kind of like in 2001: A Space Odyssey, I began to contemplate my own mortality.
I've hit that in the Mercedes.
Yes, that happens.
But
all right, the Honda.
Air conditioned seat. Why wouldn't you?
Oh, exactly.
Well, now I want to get to the Honda, but someone talk about the Cressida.
I'll give a quick question to Cressida. Cressida
Sure.
ran great all weekend because the Cressida always runs great all weekend. Here's what they do between races. Nothing. Like they pack the wheel bearings, they change fluids. That's about it. They put on some tires. Done.
It's such the easy button. That car drives great. It's quick enough. It's in the A. It's a top 10 car all day long. Go for it.
Well, and I'll give you that it's a Toyota. It's an A, but Aaron is a very, very detailed guy.
But he doesn't do a damn thing to it. I'd like to credit Aaron. I like Aaron, but I think he'd even say, I don't really do much. The car's
These are some of our only listeners right now, so we have to be nice to them.
right.
Hi,
That's
Dave
what I said.
and Aaron.
I think Aaron is great.
I think you know who else is great, and we haven't said anything to? Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
Hi, Chrissy's mom.
All right, so back to the Cressida. It was running great all weekend. They're doing a 3-driver setup for each day. It was all going well. Eric was out on Saturday and ended up getting a little sick in the car and had to come in early. And then I've never seen Aaron move so fast as when we needed someone to suit up to get in the car for extra seat
ran.
time.
Extra
Man.
seat time.
Extra seat time for Aaron.
Let's go,
Man.
let's go.
He
Extra
moved
seat
faster
time,
than I
I'm
did. So Aaron got in the car and he did well and it did good times. And the car, I think, at the end of the day was 17th, I think, something like that.
14th, I think it was.
17 somewhere.
Oh, okay. No,
Right?
and that is
Oh, I
excellent.
thought it was 8th.
No, that's where it
He
ended
brought it to 8th.
Oh, he brought it to 8th. You're saying when
It
he
was,
came in.
I think it was 14th.
No. The Saturday, it was in the
At the end of Saturday. Got it.
Yeah. Because I was texting with you, Jeff, when I wasn't in the car. And I know we want to talk about the getting sick thing in the car, and I hate to spoil it for our listeners.
Stop.
That's
Yeah,
later.
Okay, all right. Shut up.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
That Sunday, because of the way the Honda was running, we switched some drivers around, and we ended up running me in the Honda with Dave and Aaron. And Aaron kept our spot nicely during the day. I think he might have gotten one. Dave brought us a couple more. I got in the car with 2.5 hours left. The car was in 11th. Ended up bringing it home in 8th. So I was pretty satisfied with that. Our best lap time we got out of the Cressida was a 1:26.4, which
Now that's respectable.
it is pretty respectable. There was probably about 10 cars that had a faster lap than that. during this race, but that's a respectable time out of that car. And if they just had a little more camber in the front, that would make a huge difference in getting the power down. Because really, you're just understeering a lot. You're managing your understeer, so you can't put the power down quite as early as you'd like to. But aside from that, the car's so easy to drive. It's just so easy.
I'm going to ask a dumb question because it's always sometime in there the untitled segment of Mental Ask Chris a really dumb mechanical question, and Chris gives a really smart answer. Could you not have changed that with tire pressures, like maybe overinflating the rears?
Then we're giving up traction in the rears. I'd rather be able to have all the traction and manage it with throttle and steering than give it up that way. Because otherwise we had the tire temps across. We used the probe pyrometer on the tires. We had the tire temps just about right, but it's wiping the shoulders off the tires. It doesn't have enough camber in the front.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk Civic.
Wait, before we get off that, I am contractually obligated not to mention which car did a 1:23.16. Third fastest lap of the whole race. Go on, Chrissy.
Oh, no.
No, Chrissy was telling me to talk about the Honda.
Oh, yeah, go with the Honda.
And because we're going so late, I'm going to have to keep it quick. So here's the thing. The end of Thompson, Honda did wonderfully at Thompson.
We can go a little longer today. Take your time. If we get an hour and 5, we'll be all right.
Our 6 users are hurting, because they didn't get one last week. So they're like, oh, I need some everyone racer.
Yeah, I'm sure they're doing exactly that. So at the end of Thompson,
as we speak,
when it was going so well for us, it all worked out great. But at the end of the day, I noticed that we had filled up our cooling system overflow bottle. The only time it has done this,
again.
Well,
No,
the only time it's done this in the
race.
past was several years ago. It started doing it. Actually, the first time we did it was our first AER race, which was the first AER race ever. And so it filled it up. I said, that's strange. And I poured it back in the radiator. Okay.
It's the Honda. Yeah.
Right. Went out the next day. At the end of the day, it was full again. Oh, that's strange. I poured it back in. We went like a couple of races that
the
week.
gauge can't be wrong because I fixed the problem.
No, the gauge was fine. The gauge is
Rock
never
solid.
That's a joke about me.
Okay, fine. The gauges were never wrong. So, okay, keep doing it. Well, who knows what the problem is, but it still ran fine, no issues. So I said, all right. And eventually, though, the head gasket did blow when we were at CMP. So I said, this time when I saw it fill the overflow tank the first time, I said, okay, it's got to be a head gasket. We're also boosting the hell out of this thing. Let's do a head gasket before New Hampshire because that's smart. So I ordered another gasket from Cometic, pulled the whole thing apart. I see nothing wrong, but I also knew it was a very light blow because it was just filling the bottle up once, running the whole day. So a new head gasket, everything cleaned everything up, everything looked okay, put it back together, fine. So Friday we go to testing. I go drive it, and it fills back up again. And then I said, well, all right, well, let's see how bad it is. And Jeff takes it out, and Jeff keeps running it for a little while after it filled the bottle. And Jeff, what was the gauge showing when you loaded?
Well, I must say that he said I ran it a while. I ran about 6 laps, and it seemed fine. And it was running really well.
Over 10 minutes.
It's like 10 minutes. No. Not when I mean 6 laps total. 6 laps total, not 6 laps overheating. And I looked down and it was like 200. And I said, oh, that seems high. And then I looked down again and it was 250. And then I looked down again, it was 220. And then it was 250 and it was 220. And so it was bouncing back and forth between 250 and 220.
You know
and I said, yeah, pull in.
Which is all random. That's all.
First up, anything over 190 in the Honda,
that's not good.
Yes.
Bad.
I'm really aware.
And then
But I
after
want to
that,
say,
especially when it's bouncing, it's steam. It's all steam in the head,
Yeah,
which means
it's
you're
all
out of coolant.
yeah.
I'm
that's
so
why I pulled
sorry
in.
you're being chastised, Jeff, but I'm just so happy it's not me because it's been so long. Normally it's mental. What were you thinking? Well, I thought I could get 2 more laps. Mental. The wheel fell off.
No.
Yeah, but I had a really good pace.
That
It
makes
was a
me
back
think of
wheel. I didn't
Jeff,
need that wheel.
Jeff and the Wartburg. There's Jeff.
The
and
Wartburg I did, yes.
They're right.
From the time I saw the temperature gauge, I did not complete a lap until the time I brought it in. I saw it and brought it right in.
Fine. No, it's fine.
Did I look every
This wasn't
lap?
the problem,
No, I
though.
did not. That is
Sure.
the problem.
The problem is we blew everything out of the overflow bottle. So we said, crap. So something's obviously wrong because I'd replaced the head gasket. Well, it's obviously not that. So we figured we had a cracked head. So we quickly I went through Tech and BS. Everything was fine. got on carpart.com, found a place 30 miles away that had a cylinder head for $85. So he said, Steve, get in the car, go get the head, because we aren't sure what we're going to need, but $85, let's go do that. So
Steve is so great. Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, so Steve did. He hopped in his rental car, went and got the cylinder head. $85 later, I get the thing torn apart. Nobody can find anything wrong with it. I can't find anything wrong with it.
Fine.
Aaron
Looks
can't
great.
find anything wrong with it. So then we go get Manny from Grover. Say, Manny.
Yeah, okay.
Like somebody. Well, first off, no one else in the paddock knows more about these motors than I do. So I need someone that's just a really, really good mechanic. And Manny is a really, really good mechanic.
Yes, he is.
Because he keeps a Rover running in an endurance race.
So Manny's looking all at it. He can't find anything wrong with it. We got a straight edge. We got a light. We're trying to check the head for warp, but we can't find anything wrong with it. And finally, Manny says, hang on a second. Where are your dowel pins? I know dowel pins between the head and the block.
Oh, my. Dude, that's like a mental move right there.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, it lasted as long as it did without them. But with the head,
which is a testament to Honda. Good on
with the head studs, I guess he was thinking, well, it could be shifting back and forth just a little bit, and that could be causing your problems. And I said, all right, fine. Now here's the other issues. We were blown more by than we used to.
Oil-wise.
Yeah,
we were definitely blowing more
by. We lost your volume again, Chris. No.
Jeff,
Okay.
keep talking. Tell him.
Yeah,
that.
Jeff,
All
keep
right,
talking.
keep talking.
Because
So,
we don't
yeah,
edit.
We decided that the head was basically rocking back and forth using the head gasket as sandpaper between the two surfaces.
I did that once at a Lemons race.
Yeah. So we stole the pins out of the head that we bought and reassembled it with a new head gasket
That I happened to keep as a used spare. That was a good used spare in the car. So put it all back together.
Because you've done this before.
Right. Went out Saturday, and it was better. But not really.
Yeah,
Chrissy
not really.
Chrissy is shaking her head menacingly.
It was Citroen better.
It
Oh,
was
it was not Citroen.
Citroen better.
I think I was wrong. We do
I
it.
swear.
I think it's
Anyway.
better. Oh, it's not better.
Citroen better's like, I'm going to stop punching you in the junk and just start punching you in the face.
So, yeah.
So
I went out for my shift, and I came back, and it was on the trailer.
Well,
Oh
Jeff-
no, hold on. That you jumped away.
No, hang on. You jumped to Sunday.
Oh.
There's a lot that happened in between. So Saturday, Jim takes it out. He's out for like an hour and something, and then he finally says, I don't know why Jim brought it in. For some reason he brought it in.
The giraffe head fell off.
Oh, that's it.
Giraffe head fell off, and no, you're done. So the giraffe head fell off. That one of the bolts came off, and so if there's stop. There's a A-frame, right?
Where's your
so
cardboard tube now, Chris? Where's your cardboard tube now?
Your ass, Michael.
Go ahead. You're back now.
Keep trying to do this.
I think
So,
it's the computer. Go ahead.
The giraffe fed off.
Nope, you're gone. So the giraffe head
It's better
is.
when you tell it, Chrissy.
I will just tell it. I wasn't even there, but I'll tell it. So the giraffe is a 3-point, right? So there's 2 bolts on the side, and then there's something holding the PVC pipe on. One of the bolts one of the screws and the captive nuts came off. Go ahead.
Yes, one of the bolts on the bumper that's captive to the bumper broke off, so that was it. So the giraffe head was off. So while the giraffe head was off, we said, well, hey, let's check all the stuff under the hood. Guess what? Coolant overflow, full. Catch can, puking everywhere. Even though the fact that it drains back into the block, it was still puking everywhere. How's that for you?
There was oil under that thing, coated like you wouldn't believe.
And yeah, I'm honestly, I do miss running with you guys, and I miss running at New Hampshire. If I had been with you instead of with RTF and the Honda blew up and the Honda never blows up, I would be like, I'm done with this. I'm never racing again.
Yep.
I am the black hand of doom. Just start renting me, pay me to go to teams that you want to break, because that's what I will do. That is
Okay.
my only future.
So after that, we said, well, this is obviously not working. Let's try unturboing. So I had already brought a header and the other pipe, so we unturboed the car. We put the header on. We had to
This
weld.
sounds so familiar.
We had to weld a flange onto the exhaust to get it to work, which is fine. I expected that. We had to block off the oil lines. And to do any of this,
All the normal part of
Right.
the stuff we do when we unturbo it.
but to do any of this now requires also pulling the radiator and draining the cooling system to get the turbo off. So we did all that, and then actually we ran the end of the day Saturday and all of half of the day Sunday without the turbo. The car was slow. It was not puking up much water at all. It was puking some oil, and that got gradually worse and worse and worse. And up to the point where Eric, when he was out for his shift, after everyone had driven, he was in again, and he's like, "Well, there's a lot of smoke in the car." As I'm driving.
He came in unexpectedly, and he was like, "There's a lot of smoke." And then I came over, and I was like, "Oh, it's fine. We all had smoke in our car. It's fine."
It does that.
We did. We said it does that. So as he's driving away, Steve sees it and says, "That's a lot of smoke. I think that's a lot."
So
he says, let me go to the top of the RV and just let me see him go around the track. He saw him do one lap. He says, he's got to come in. He said, the smoke is so bad. So we brought it in, and then it immediately dumped about a half a quart of oil on the ground.
Yeah. Didn't Johan do that for a theme? The Cheech and Chong theme?
We were kind of like...
It was almost the West Indian dope smoking team in the car. It was like Omar in there. Hey, what's up? He was hanging out with Towley. Hey, guys, you want to get high?
Towel's here.
Hey, is that Honda? Hey, is that Honda fast? Yeah, man. You see the smoke coming out of the back?
Oh, it didn't come out of the back. It come out of the hood.
Yeah, that's the overflow. It's the catch can with the filter and the drain, the 10 AN drain back to the crankcase is all under the hood. It was filling the catch can so fast, the 10 AN drain wasn't flowing it back. It doesn't have a real steep angle to it. And it was flowing up, filling the catch can and out the top of the filter. And then eventually when I went to put it on the trailer at the end of the day after we let it cool off, when you start a car with good compression, you hear those solid bumps, like the rah, 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 right? And then when you're doing a compression test and you have all the plugs out, and it just kind of turns over like, wee. It was much closer to the wee. And it doesn't really want to start, but it did enough to get it on the trailer and then puke another half quart of oil on the trailer.
On the trailer.
Right. So the first thing we do when we get it home, we go to the coin-op car wash with a bottle of Simple Green.
I sprayed it all over, and I fed it quarters. And then even when we brought it back into the garage, you said it dumped a little bit on the ground.
Unfortunately, it wasn't too much after that. It just did a little bit.
It's got nothing.
How could there be any left?
Yeah, I don't know.
It had to dry. Your car had to dry heaves.
Yeah. It's only anything left because the quart system holds like 7 quarts now. So, fortunately, it's in the garage next to the NSX, and it's
on the NSX.
No, next to it, and it's this weekend. We're gonna have a work weekend on Saturday, Jeff, and so everyone will be here on Saturday. We're gonna pull the motor and tear it apart and see where it went wrong, and go to the machine shop, and we'll report back.
Got it.
Now, I know we were doing an abbreviated race weekend, but the Hella Sweeter But Terrible, I got a phone call from Darren yesterday, talking about New Hampshire and just some other stuff. And our initial Hella Sweeter But Terrible idea, a bit about bringing the ombre down here. You guys can all nod or make some.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Bruce and Darren about exactly this. They've offered me the same thing.
Okay, so that was what Darren said. They've got a fully caged Integra that runs, and he says, I don't know how well it runs, and it's lowered, but it's lowered, streetwise by a kid with a flat brimmed hat. But instead of dragging Jeff's precious ombre down here, he was thinking the new 3 p.m. South car could be the Integra. And it's not like I don't know a guy who knows a whole lot of things about Hondas.
You know a guy? I didn't know you knew any guys.
Yeah, he knows Chris Mills and Justin Howe.
They're not anywhere close, though.
They are getting tagged on that Facebook post.
Well, I think we actually have a lot of
3 p.m. South Integra.
Okay.
I think there's more to be debated about that because I think we can get the Civic back together for Atlanta. Beyond that,
Trying
sure.
to. That's going to be the plan.
Why not? It's a car that's getting wasted where it's sitting right now, and Darren says it's caged. I would debate that it's fully caged. If it's fully caged to the quality you want, I would be very surprised. So imagine you're going to have to start with a 3/4 cage car, and that's the extent of things that have been done to it. Darren picked this up for $100 after it had been in a flood. And
oh shit! Okay, yeah. So I see. What
we're not really sure what it has going on at the moment. It might be more ready.
Pictures?
Can't be any worse than the truck.
The Datsun? No,
the Datsun.
Right.
Yeah, not the Ombre. The Ombre's boss, but the Datsun.
You're probably right. All right. Well, so we need to talk more this weekend.
Yeah, and I told Darren, I said, hey, man, sorry, after December, I've got a Civic living in my garage. And so Darren goes, Well, then put it in Steve's basement. I don't care.
All right.
Chris and Chrissy missed that joke because they were swapping headphones.
That's all right. I just want to mention, I also heard that the Hamza Mobile might not be in attendance.
It is not.
That's true.
Unfortunately, the Deliberator is going. Well, the Deliberator is fine. So our
just
4
not
listeners,
available.
our 4 listeners can calm their pulse. But unfortunately, Hamza, who is still a outstanding active duty military individual, is got an obligation, so he will not be available.
Oh, I thought he was retired.
No. I'm the retired guy. So to that end, I see that the corner of the mighty Chris and Chrissy living room is vacant, but that doesn't mean that it's still not time for Jeff.
Wait, we're not there yet.
Why?
We still have to do. We have to
Totally
do listener feedback, and then we're
Okay,
there.
do that.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Yes,
Go
that's all right.
to
That's
it.
all right.
Sorry.
Listener feedback, completely unrelated to what Mental was just talking about. Darren H. from somewhere in the South has given us some listener feedback.
Okay.
That sounds like a damn Yankee name to me. I don't know.
Exactly. I don't know. But
I hear he has sexy new little glasses.
he does have sexy little glasses. They go really well with his gray beard, which is actually what I'm bringing up. Last week, he called and basically said, "Hey, man, I'm in the 3-Pedal Mafia. I have facial hair. Last week you said there was no facial hair in the 3-Pedal Mafia." And then he said, "Yeah, Aaron's got it too. And so does everybody. We all everybody but you 4 have facial hair." And he was shaking his little fist at me, I think, over the phone.
Your brother. There's 5.
Yeah.
No,
No, my brother-
Jim hasn't had a beard in years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Jeff, Jim, no beard. The Chris contingent, no beard.
So it seems that we pretty much just forgot that everyone,
No.
1/4 of the Cressida and 1/2 of the RX-7 all have beards, and we totally
I don't buy it.
ignored them. So yes, he also said mental sounds
Dave
great.
and Aaron both have facial hair.
Exactly. So we just everybody but us in the Honda have a beard. He also says that everything sounds great, mental sounds great, but we talk over each other too much. So that's the end of the listener feedback.
Yeah, whatever, Jeff.
Yeah, I know.
Stop it.
La. Chrissy's mom.
Stop talking about my mom.
Microphone
Okay.
doesn't work.
Okay. Let's move on.
Echo sound.
Let's move on.
It's all here.
Everybody on mental.
So there's our listener feedback. We have just popped our commute time limit that we put on this. But Jeff, it means it's time for
Just the tip.
That was beautiful. Okay, so this week on Just the Tip, we're talking about puking in the car, which is a lovely topic. I have to admit, this is not a topic. Oh gosh, this is gross.
I feel like we need one of those big Jim Cramer soundboards where you just mash the big red buttons and.
Well, you just did that. So I don't have a whole lot to say about this because I've never puked in the car. I've seen a bunch of videos that are fantastic about somebody that has puked in the car, somebody that is going to try to clean up the puke in the car, and then they puke in the car. So I actually recently cleaned up puke in the car this week. One of our teammates, Eric, he ran for a little while. Not really sure why. He said he threw up. I guess he was hot or something. He threw up in the car. I did clean up his puke, and I did not puke.
It wasn't much, though. It's not like
we've seen some that are really bad. My favorite one on the internet is Petty Cash. That's the greatest puke that I think has ever happened in a race car. Multiple ones right in his helmet. Anyway.
Right, and then he went around. The guy who was cleaning it up went around to the front of the truck, threw up, and you could see it in the video, which was fantastic. That's really what happened. And if you have not seen the Petty Cash video, it's amazing.
Need to dig that up and put
sorry,
it,
not sorry. Yeah, we will post that.
Gotta go
to
put it
Facebook.
on
We'll post it to the page.
It's
Absolutely
pretty awesome. So, do you have any ways?
And not safe for work warning.
Oh, it's not. It's just throw up.
It's just,
You have to flip your switch. So, do you have any ways how to fix this? You guys, mental. Do you have any ways to?
Bruce has tried with fresh air, and that hasn't worked as well as he'd like to. Well, here's what worked: retiring the Triumph and all the gaps that it had in the body.
That's true. Yeah.
The last couple of races with the Triumph, Ralph, as we call Bruce, hasn't Ralphed much in the car at all. But Mental, I know we were at an Extreme Experience event, and you had some sort of ginger chewy thingy. What was that all about?
And I was going to transition to that. So here's the thing, and it goes back to a couple of things ago where Chrissy was talking about you got to take care of yourself on a race weekend. You've got to stay hydrated. And yes, Lemons, we may partake, but especially as the car's gotten faster, we've kind of become like self-regulating. Hey, who's the first one? No one wants the first shift anymore because we can't drink as much. And so the key to it is first you got to stay hydrated. Hydrate, especially in the summer when you'll sweat 2 gallons out. I do take a ginger pill, and Chris, Jeff, you, all three of us have all done instructing in supercars. And the thing about instructing is you get a full spectrum of just shy of professional capabilities to, oh dear God, I'm frightened to know that you drove here today level, and there's a whole lot of braking and off of that. And so most of my anti-puking tips come from time in airplanes and time in the passenger seat of a Ferrari. So step 1, stay hydrated.
Absolutely.
I'm a big fan of ginger pills. I had to come out of an Audi one time in New Jersey after Chris and I may have partaken a little too much at a small pub in New Jersey. And, I started realizing it before it happened. Yeah, pretty much. And I started to realize before it happened, and I had to call the poor guy in. He's like, am I doing bad? I'm like, nope.
I'm doing bad.
You're doing fine, buddy. I just, I got to get out of the car.
You'll get another ride. Free.
You'll get another ride. So ginger pills and I learned that from my friend Holly Heiser with Grid Life, and that has been a brilliant bit right there. Staying hydrated. I learned that from my days in the Air Force. Save most of your drinking for after you've parked the car in the paddock. Chris, you've had some experience with this.
Most of mine comes from sailboats and long offshore passages for up to 2 weeks at a time. And eyes up. Keep your eyes up on the horizon. Don't look in the car where you are. Keep your eyes up. It isn't nearly as bad.
That doesn't help you when you're driving the race car, though. You have to look everywhere.
I don't know. Keeping your eyes up is very helpful.
I mean, keeping your eyes up, but you can't see it like over the horizon.
But if you're looking in front of you, it's a very different thing than looking way ahead of you.
Mm-hmm. I noticed that the comfortable driving position and everything else matters. You need to be hydrated. I've had like cramps in cars, not really woozy as much, but you have to protect yourself. You have to hydrate, and you have to be
hydration
ready.
In the car too. It's not just hydration before, but bring the hydration in the car. Like there's times in the car I've gotten a little queasy-ish, and I have my hydration. I grab a few sips. I feel great.
I'm a big gum guy too. For relaxation to kind of keep me from tensing up in the car, and then also you get some good mint gum. That'll delay it.
After 4 hours, though, I'm tired of that gum.
Yeah. Well, then
that
you
goes right out the window.
Yeah, you spit that on the car behind you that's too close. And another thing that I've been spoiled with by running with the 3-pedal mafia is way back in the days of the first Civic, the Wago van, when you built the ghetto cool suit. And the first time we turned that thing on, I'm like, oh my God, never again. And I have turned down rides if they don't have a cool suit. I am so spoiled with that. Oh, I'm running in July, no cool suit. I got it.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank
Especially
you.
for any length of time. It's like if you're in 45 minutes, you're like, I got to get out without a cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It just
I did
never.
2.5 in the Cresta this last weekend without the cool suit.
But
sadly,
you weren't happy about it.
Oh, I was sad about it.
No, I didn't. I thought they had a cool suit. Why didn't they?
Did, but they have a cool shirt fittings, and I have a fast shirt, and they're only
didn't realize until you got out.
They're only cross compatible one way. So,
got it. Anyway,
okay,
is that it for just a tip?
I think so.
Yeah.
Don't
Wow,
throw
that's
up
awesome.
in the car. You'd be a funny video online.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you're
all your
running
friends
with
will call
3-pedal
you Ralph.
mafia, yeah, if you're running 3-pedal mafia, that stuff's going to be on YouTube before your stint is done.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of things that are done, I think the show is kind of done here. I want to say thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition, slightly longer edition of Everyone Racers. We also hope you join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a racer, not just What is that?
It's a really, really loud theme. Also, all of you need to check your text messages.
If you enjoyed the podcast, please
better.
subscribe, on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. If you didn't like us, email us, tell us why we suck, and we may read it on the air, and we will take your feedback seriously. If you have any questions or want to give us some show ideas, drop a comment on our Facebook page, Everyone Racers, or like our team Facebook page, the Three Pedal Mafia Lemons team. If you'd like to help us produce the show, donate to the cause at patreon.com, Everyone Racers, and buy us more ginger pills. Thanks again. Until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless there is no shiny side, then just keep the wheels down.
Bye.